This is going to be a fun one, though. I'm actually going to say normal stuff instead of peas and carrots, but I feel like it's obvious when we say peas and carrots. Except for at work. Except for at work. Because we work with Alan Garrett, that's not normal.
Exactly.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Real Country Jukebox Podcast with Raymond and James. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man.
Good.
I tell you what, I'm so glad it has some nice weather back.
It's about time.
It rained all week last week. All weekend last weekend. So I'm glad it has some good weather too. So
I think it's getting ready to go to trash on the weekend again. It seems like every weekend is trashy. But I mean,
Yeah.
Take the good with the bad.
Oh yeah. Well, I think they said 40% chance rain here.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 10% in Charlotte. So.
Oh yeah, he's going to Charlotte. Yeah. He's in a Spartan race for the second year in a row.
Yeah.
And he's gonna go up there and he's gonna make a name for himself. So.
I don't know. I doubt it, but we'll give it a shot.
Right.
So,
Raymond, tell them what we're talking about today.
It's our top 10 songs from 2010 to 2019. We've had a 2000 to 2009 before, so we're finishing up that. We're stepping to the next decade. And we were so surprised. Well, I was very surprised at how much good music is still getting made today.
I agree.
Where most of the music we like is older. I noticed that there were so many different songs to choose from.
Yeah, and this is definitely more his forte, and he's brought to light a lot of songs the last 10 or so years that I didn't know about and stuff like that, and brought to light some good songs. He always has good suggestions for songs. So this is more his forte. I have to dig a little bit deeper because I guess I'm that get off my lawn sort of guy because I like things the way I like them. But he's right. There is a lot of good music. We're going to go through that. And so we'll start talking about it. What we're doing is we're going from 2019 down to 2010.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about what our favorite song is for each year of that. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if we're starting with 2019, I don't like doing this, and this is the only time I did it. I have two, and the reason why I have two is because they're both very similar, and I just feel like they could be mentioned together. It's That's My Boy by Justin Moore, and I Wish Grandpa's Never Died by Riley Green. And the reason why they both mean so much to me is because I talked about my grandpa before. He's one of my favorite males that I've ever known. And, of course, my son Liam is, too. So I Wish Grandpa Never Died was definitely a great song. It was one that brought Riley Green to light. It was on his first album. Well, his first album where people were starting to know him. He had a couple before then, but it's his first main one. And That's My Boy by Justin Moore. I don't think that's as popular to people, but it starts out with He'll Believe That Jesus Saves and He'll Always Love the Braves. And I couldn't think of a better song for me. So that's is the two that I have, and the rest of the time I only have one. But
ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's a close call. So
yeah.
That's 2019, just a few years ago. The one I chose for 2019 is, I've said it before, bands just aren't what they used to be in country music. And I fell in love with Midland when they first come out. And my favorite song, it's actually my favorite Midland song, period. And I didn't think you could top anything from the first album. But my favorite Midland song, period, and my favorite song of 2019 was Midland's Playboys. And it was kind of a toss-up between that and Fast Hearts and Slow Towns, which were both on the same album. But Playboys is just a song about going out on the road and doing music and that sort of stuff. And they just have a unique sound that you just don't hear anymore. There's a little bit of 80s mix in them. There's a little bit of 90s mix in them. And maybe just a tad of what's going on now. But they're just the perfect retro country band to me as far as this day and age. So I chose Playboys by Midland.
Yeah, man, and it's weird, that's a band I've got to get more into. I haven't really checked them out like I should have. And you've talked about them several times. I've dropped the ball on that. I need to get with the program on Midland.
And you saw them in concert before they made it, right?
I really believe 99.9% that was them.
Okay, I got you.
It was about 5 years before they ever put anything out.
Okay.
And when I heard them singing, I was like, that sounds very familiar. And I was in that area because I used to live in Odessa, Texas, which is 20 minutes from Midland.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, which I'm pretty sure that's where Midland's from. That's where the name came from.
Right.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw them open up for, I can't remember who it was at the time, but I know for a fact that I heard them before they were anyone significant.
Okay. I wanted you to tell that story because I remember you telling it to me. So
yeah. My 2018 is Must Be the Whiskey by Cody Jinks.
Yeah,
And
I've heard that.
It's funny because not only is that a good song, but I like to say it's by Cody Jinks, but I got to give this other guy who I'll never know his name the credit because me and Stacy went to Key West for our 10-year anniversary, and we just kind of like bar hopped the whole time we were there, and we went to this one place, man, and this guy was playing music or whatever, and he was playing the guitar, and he was also working something else with his feet to like have others. So he was kind of like a one-man band. He was really good.
Wow.
And he had that like Cody Jinks look mixed with like an Allen guy. He, kind of like a dread, or like ponytail, dread, big beard, the whole thing. But he just loved what he was doing, and I asked him, I said, do you know any Whiskey Myers or Cody Jinks?
Right.
And he played Stone by Whiskey Myers, but he played Cody Jinks, and he was like, I can't get over like how happy he was the whole time to play that song. You go up there and put your money in the jar or whatever. But it was almost like it was his. Another thing too, like you could tell that he had never heard either one of those songs before. He just kind of like looked them up right quick while he was doing something else.
I'm so jealous of people that can do that.
I know, he was so good with it, man. But every single time,
I need to practice something for a year before I can play it.
Every single time we were there for, I'm gonna say probably about a week, and that was one of the first couple nights. We would pass that dude on the street, man. He was always happy. He was probably a pothead. I'm serious. He was like an Allen guy. Like you could tell it that he'd probably die right there in Key West.
Right.
So yeah, so I say that it's definitely Must Be the Whiskey, but he stole that from Cody Jinks when I watched him like be so happy playing that song. You know what I mean?
That's a cool story, man.
Yeah. So
for 2018, I've got, and this guy, like I said, more of the modern stuff this guy introduced me to. And when he introduced me to a song, it's usually really good. He introduced me to Riley Green. There Was This Girl. I think There Was This Girl was out before the Grandpa song, but it didn't bring him to the light, right?
Yeah, that's right. They're on the same album, but There Was This Girl was his first single.
Okay.
Which probably came out.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and another thing, too, any of these songs that, like, if anybody fact checks us and say, oh, well, you say that's 2014, it actually came out in 2013, it's give or take. Depending on, like, what the album says, that when we look it up on our streaming services, whatever that, so...
Songs can chart into a couple different years, sometimes even more than that. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, he introduced me to Riley Green. He thought, I know the kind of stuff you like. Check this out, and it was Riley Green. It was very Red Aiken-ish. I messed that up, but anyway, it's very Red Aikens like, mm-hmm. And they have a lot of similarities. And Riley Green, There Was This Girl, is just a good song. There Was This Girl is like the stamp on each end of every verse, and it relates to something different. And I thought it was a pretty cool coming out party. The Grandpa song definitely rose him to the top, and I get that. But I love There Was This Girl and thought that was just a cool song to be your debut single, for one, because it's fast, it's written well, it fits anything.
Yeah, and the thing about Riley Green is, just to touch back on that, for me, I'm a huge Riley Green fan. I'm a huge Red Aikens fan, and I feel like they're very similar. I feel like Riley is the Red Aikens of our time, of the time now.
I agree.
And they wrote one song together. He actually got up with Red. To the story that I heard him say, he said he got up with Red about a 90s country sounding song, and it was In Love by Now.
Also, that's one of my favorite Riley Green songs too, and that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, my number 2017 is I Lived It by Blake Shelton. Mm-hmm. And you could put I'll Name the Dogs up there with it, but the reason why I chose I Lived It over I'll Name the Dogs is because I am so thankful to, and it weren't very long because of my age, but I'm so thankful to actually be able to dip in, and there's probably 20 years difference in me and Blake, but I came along just late enough to still be able to experience everything he talked about in that song, and I wish that if things were still the way that he described in that song, that the world would be a better place. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I'm so glad that I was able to live all those lyrics too.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it would. Yeah, it makes sense that it would fit something your age, because Blake's one of them people that I would think kind of writes from his past and kind of where he's going in the future, and it kind of fits all ages and stuff, all generations and stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah. So that's definitely my favorite from that year.
For 2017, I've got It's a Joe Nichols song, and it was not released to radio. I wish it would have been, but it's called "I'd Sing About You," and I think it's the 5th track on the last album he did, or not the last album. I think he came out one last year, but the one before that, so obviously 2017. But it's called "I'd Sing About You," and it's just your standard country song. Alan Jackson-ish, Joe Nichols-ish, that sort of George Strait type song. I'd Sing About You, and it kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I'm going to have to look that up. A lot of stuff you talk about I haven't heard.
And vice versa. That's how we learn.
I look them up a lot of times, and sometimes one might slip through there that I missed, but I definitely try to look that one up because I love Joe Nichols. I like his new song, too.
Yes, right. That's the best thing he's done in a while. Good Day for Living.
Yeah, number 2016 for me is Vice by Miranda Lambert. And
everything she does is awesome. She's so consistent.
Yeah, there's nothing in particular about Vice that I just love. I mean, it's just the whole song is good. And that very first beginning where there's not any music, it's just her vocals, but you can hear like crackling and popping in the background, the sound of vinyl. Yeah. And she starts off by saying "stinging the needle, dropping on the vinyl." It's just a good song.
Right.
Man. I love that. That's all I got for it.
For 2016, this was tough because I'm going to name 2 this time, kind of like you did a while ago. For 2016, it was tough because obviously we're here huge Eric Church fans, and Eric Church came out with Record Year.
Yeah.
And Record Year is just so many good plays on words and something different you can catch each time you listen to that song. It's just so well done, and it's hard not to say, man, Record Year is my favorite song of 2016. And but it's actually not, man. There's one that I think is written better than that one. I know that's hard to believe. But she don't get enough credit. Jana Kramer. Mm-hmm. Jana Kramer had a song called, I think it's the last big, she's had a song on radio since then, but not this big. And it probably went number 1, but it was called I Got the Boy. And it's basically a story from 2 perspectives of, she's telling the story about how she had this guy all through high school, and she got the long hair, the bad attitude, this, that, and the other. I got the boy, and she got the man, talking about he grew up, he matured, and then when she saw the picture in the paper about them getting married and everything, she realizes he became what he became and wishes that girl well. And now she had the wild good time in high school, this, that, and the other, high school sweetheart, and now this other girl who she's not envious of, she's just saying, good for you. This boy became a man and, is going to make a good husband. It's called I Got the Boy. If you like good story songs that just, tell you like a movie in 3 minutes, I Got the Boy by Jana Kramer does that.
Yeah. That is a good song. For 2015, and this is where I guess there's a slight mix-up on my part, probably, but I got Round Here Buzz by Eric Church, which has been on the same album as Record Year.
That could fit 15 or 16, definitely.
So, everything up there is good. It's my favorite album of all time, period. Record Year, Round Here Buzz, Until I Heard Virginia by Whiskey Myers, was my favorite song ever. It just reminds me kind of like of the town I grew up in, and there ain't a whole lot to say about it. It's just that Round Here Buzz, that whole album period is it's a whole album that makes me want to like relax and just, and that's what Round Here Buzz does for me. So
yeah. Moving into 2015, I got another non-radio release, but my favorite singer of all time, Alan Jackson, came out with an album in 2015 called Angels and Alcohol. And my favorite song on that album and my favorite song of that year, to my knowledge, is Gone Before You Met Me by Alan Jackson. It's basically, he talks about Jack Kerouac and just kind of guys back in time, and then how he had a dream and, some good, some bad, and then, he wakes up from the dream and everything is where it should be. It's just a good standard Alan Jackson song. So 2015, I got Gone Before You Met Me. It's my favorite Alan Jackson song on that album.
Yeah, that is a good one. And that's the thing, man. Alan Jackson's music sounds the same from 88 to 2021, whenever the last
it does, man.
Was. My number 2014 for me is Dark Side by Eric Church. And that song, the reason why it's my favorite is because from the time it starts to the end, I can relate so much. Ain't no need to get the detail. I can relate to every single word he says.
You can put yourself in them situations.
And I'll just leave it there.
Yeah. And you think a lot like he does. in some ways, in the good ways. I mean, that's not an insult by any stretch.
Well, there's nothing you can say about Eric Church to be an insult. I'm down with that.
Right.
So
for 2015.
That was the start of 2014.
That was the start of 2014. Okay. For 2014, I've got, and I love songs like this, and I can't say enough about it. I like songs that call out the industry.
Yeah.
If it's warranted.
Mm-hmm.
And Maddie and Tae came right out the gate. They're a girl duo, obviously. They came right out. They're going to be in Greenville this weekend. We're in Greenville right now, so I'm going to shout out to them. They're playing at Pirate Fest in Greenville this weekend. If the weather's good, go check it out.
It's free, right?
Yeah, it's free.
Yes, you can just go up there.
Matter of fact, if it's pouring down rain, go see them. It's Maddie and Tae. They're good.
Yeah.
Anyway, they came right out the gate with a song called Girl in the Country Song.
Mm-hmm.
And when you first hear the song with some of the beats and stuff like that, you think, this ain't country music. But what they're doing is making fun of what the Nashville Machine is doing, and they're calling out. I had to hear it several times before I realized it, and then I think I read an article about it. But they're calling out the industry, which is long overdue. Maddie and Tae, Girl in a Country Song. They don't like the way girls are being portrayed. They don't like, being called pretty little thing and that girl, and because girl is used too much in country songs nowadays anyway. Give them a name. There's a place and time for some of that stuff, but if you listen to that song, you'll get what I'm saying. They say it better than I do, but Girl in a Country Song by Maddie and Tae, they call out the industry.
Yeah, and another thing, and I don't want to take away from Maddie and Tae, and I don't want to take away from what you're saying, but a couple things that happened in this same decade that I wanted to work into this list and couldn't, but they need to be acknowledged because they call out the industry when they should. Everything that he's done, especially the last 6 years, but even in the last 10 years, if y'all are interested, check out a guy named Buddy Brown. He's always calling out the industry. He's always, a lot of it's comedy stuff, but sometimes it's very warranted. And I listen to him all the time, and I wanted to fit him into this. And just with the songs I had to go off of, I couldn't, honestly. If you're out there, buddy, I still love your music. Couldn't fit you in the top. But and another one too, 2019. Whiskey Myers had a self-titled album called Whiskey Myers, and I wouldn't include any of those songs because they're very rockish. They're too rock for country music, and which then again with what CMT had on their awards, I heard about it. If that's country, then Whiskey Myers could be Buck Owens. But anyway, there's a song up there called "Bitch" where they call out the industry, and they're basically just saying like what a lot of that sounds like.
Right. And don't get me wrong, the industry's got to do what the industry's got to do.
Yeah.
I'm just basically saying artists that don't agree with it have a right to call them out too, and I love the way Maddie and Tae does that.
And most of the people on our list don't go with the industry.
True.
I mean, some of them do.
True. Yeah.
I mean, obviously Blake does. He's like Hollywood star now.
Yeah.
It's working well for him.
Yeah.
So, but I would definitely name songs by Blake, but they're always going to be good country songs. It ain't going to be some of the stuff.
Right.
So I got off on that tangent. Forgot what year we're on.
2013.
2013. I got Justin Moore, Point at You.
Oh, yeah, I love that song.
I love that song, too. It reminds me of me and my wife, to be honest with you. And Justin Moore, man, just like...
she's here, too. She's backstage with his son. Seriously. Anyway.
Yeah, she is backstage. But anyway, yeah, that Point at You song is just... it's a fun song, man. The video is funny. And it just reminds me of me and her, and that's about all I got for it.
I do. I love that song, too. And I forget about that song. It's funny. I didn't think about it again until the other day. I got in my truck to go somewhere. I don't know if it's yesterday or the day before, but that song was on. I don't normally have it on those stations. I normally have it on Prime Country or what's the one, the older one, Willie's Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah.
But I had it on the Y2K or whatever it's called. And anyway, I heard that song, and I was like, yeah, I like that song.
Well, man, for conversation, for you and anyone else that cares, I don't listen to mainstream radio hardly ever at all, but I've had a rental truck for the last couple of days, and instead of going through, I just been listening to regular radio, and 105.7 to me, by what I've heard, and it might just be only when I'm listening to radio, but they always play solid country music. This morning on my way to work, I'm not lying to you, they started out with a song that I never even heard of, that it sounded like it might came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
Went right into 2 Tracy Lawrence songs, then 2 Travis Tritt songs, and then Tracy Bird, and I pulled into work.
Is that station you mentioned to me about a month or so ago?
Yeah, it's Dixie 105.7.
Dixie one. Yeah, you did mention that.
And I'm not trying to say that they don't, but every single time I listen to it, that's what the kind of music they play.
Well, that gives me something to listen to when I'm on a work vehicle or something, and I don't have Sirius.
Yeah, and then there's a good chance that it still might play something that, but they play like 8 songs.
But more good than bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they didn't even talk in between them. It's almost like they had a CD and it just rolled.
Gotcha.
So,
well, good deal.
Yeah.
2013. I don't know how much y'all have heard of this guy, but I've got Charlie Worsham, a song called Could It Be? Is This Love or Could It Be? Charlie Worsham kind of flies below the radar a lot. He plays a lot on the Opry, and he's played for other artists and stuff playing guitar. But he hangs out with Marty Stewart and Vince Gill and those type of guys. Could It Be was really the only successful charted hit he had, but it has a very Vince Gill type sound to him. Can just sing out the roof. I mean, the guy's just got unbelievable vocals. And that edged out another song that I wanted to put up here too. I won't talk about that one because I don't want to put 2 songs up here each time. But if y'all ever get a chance to listen to Charlie Worsham, just give him a shot and see what you think. I mean, that whole album, I can't think of the name of that debut album, but it's really good. And Could It Be? I mean, the guy flat out lays down vocals. He's very underrated.
Yeah. Another thing too, to kind of break up the years a little bit. I know we're going to be going into 2012. I just want to mention to the people that like to listen, if y'all don't mind putting in the comments, whether it's on the Facebook page or on YouTube, if y'all like the top 10 stuff at all, that's how it originally started. Or do you like where we kind of have, like the last couple of weeks, we had a topic like the movies and TV shows, and then we have like the memories thing. Or because we love the top 10 stuff, we just don't want people to get bored with it, but we love doing it. So, if that's something y'all like, if you could if you could let us know in the comments, or.
And feel free to give us any kind of comments, good or bad. Yeah. We can take it. I mean, we're just having fun up here, and we want to make it interesting for y'all too. So
yeah, that's right. So 2012, I've got Night Train by Jason Aldean. I talked about this on the memories one. It just reminds me of when me and my wife first started dating. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
2012 for me, I got another guy that y'all may or may not have heard of. A guy named Greg Bates came out the gate in 2012 with a song called "Did It for the Girl." Mentions George Strait. It's another one of those just standard mid-level country songs. "Did It for the Girl" by Greg Bates. Not a lot I can say about it unless you listen to it, but he came out the gate, and I thought this guy's gonna be pretty good. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what happens in the industry sometimes, but didn't really hear much more out of the guy. But it was pretty solid.
Yeah, that's something else I don't understand too. Like, what is it that makes certain songs go to number one? Like, are they really loved, or are they pushed, or what? Or maybe it's just my taste in music. But like a lot of stuff that I listen to don't even make it to the radio.
Right.
So I don't know. I do know that I see through like fan groups that Whiskey Myers gets a lot of play on rock stations. So that's good to know. I'm glad that they're getting some.
About to say, at least they're getting play.
Yeah. So the 2011 for me is Virginia by Whiskey Myers. I said that.
Your favorite song ever by them?
Yeah. And that's about all I got. But that is a country sounding song. It's a lot of steel guitar and flat top, and it's a good story song.
Yeah. And I'll say something else on that you were talking about. They get played a lot on the rock stations too, and that's good that some groups can do that, can fit into the country and rock, or even southern rock, fit into several different molds. Because I like genres, but I mean, there's some groups that they don't really have a genre, and they like to do their style of music. And obviously, they're building a huge fan base, and to be able to play in several different genres, there's a compliment to be made there too. So yeah, it makes sense why you like them so much. 2011. I've got a couple other singles that didn't make the radio, but they're just good songs. Jason Michael Carroll had an album. I think the name of the album was Numbers. But the whole album is good. But he had one called The Last Word. That's my favorite song on there. I get that one mixed up sometimes, but I Don't Know Why I Don't. There's I Don't Know Why I Don't, then there's The Last Word, which are two fast-paced, just really good Jason Michael Carroll songs that you shouldn't roll down the window and listen to loud. Because most of his stuff you can do that, especially the upbeat stuff. But The Last Word is probably my favorite song he did that year. But I also want to give a shout out to Joe Nichols. He had the album at that time with a song called No Truck, No Boat, No Girl. And it's actually not your run-of-the-mill, let's throw these three things in a country song. It's actually well written with those topics. But No Truck, No Boat, No Girl by Joe Nichols is also worth a listen.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, you'll like it.
Yeah, because there was about 2 months during the winter time where I only had one of those. I thank the Lord it was the girl.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to have only one, that is definitely the most important.
But anyways,
Pat and Charlie can take you where you need to go, but you need your wife.
True. For 2010, I've got Hippies and Cowboys by Cody Jinks. That's my favorite Cody Jinks song ever. And everything on that Les Wise album, I recommend you listen to it. You can start from 1 and go through 10 or whatever and never even hit skip. It's a great song. And the only reason why it beat out Somewhere in the Middle as being my favorite Cody Jinks song is because he called out the industry. I mean directly, like, called them out directly. And then went right into, saying like the people that are his fans or whatever are the kinds of people that he wants to see at the bar with $2 beers and $3 whales, and it's just a good song. I love Hippies and Cowboys, and basically he's saying like, the people, him and the people that listen to his music don't care about trends or what songs are going to sell. That's actually the lyrics right there. So I just love it. I love Hippies and Cowboys. I hope we're actually going to go see him in Charlotte, and I know y'all are going to go see him too. I hope that he plays that one.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
So
2011, I'm going to talk about one song, then I'm going to tell you this first one's not the one I'm picking, but I got to mention two on this one too. Brad Paisley had a song in 2011 called This Is Country Music, and I love it because basically he's naming all these topics that are uncomfortable to talk about or that people don't want to talk about in the world, and then he finishes every sentence with, but this is country music, and we do. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about country music, man, of past and today, is they talk about topics that are real and stuff you've been through, and it's medicine sometimes, man. And that song, if you've never heard it, This Is Country Music, that's going to be easy to remember. He just talks about all the topics that nobody wants to talk about, and then, again, lets you know this is country music, and we do. So shout out to that song. But the one I picked is from my friend who's done a lot for us. He's a good friend of ours, and he had several top 15, top 10s, a couple of good top 10s in country music, is Craig Campbell. When he came out the gate in 2011, he came out with, I think I'm getting the year right, I hope I am. He came out with Family Man. That was his opening song. And it's if you're family-oriented at all and you love good country music, Craig Campbell can sing his butt off. Family Man always gets a good reaction at his concerts, and it is just as well written a song as you'll ever hear.
It's funny you say that about Craig because I loved Family Man when it first came out, but the first song that really like impacted me, I remember I got home from work, me and Stacy, we actually got married in 2011, so this makes sense that he came out around that time. I came home from work, we had just moved in together, and she was like, I've got a song you've got to hear. And I was like, what is it? And it was Fish.
Yeah, that was big for him too.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was ever on the radio or not.
It was.
But I used to love that song. Man.
Yeah, it was.
I used to love it. As a matter of fact, I had just got Facebook for the first time, and back then I only had a flip
What
phone.
a mistake.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's the truth. I had just got Facebook, and back then I had a flip phone. So I pulled up a laptop and I was on my Facebook. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to download. I said, people need to hear this. So I downloaded the song to the laptop and then put it on my Facebook wall. But back then it was a process. You didn't just go. So, I really loved it.
It'd take an hour out of your day to do stuff like that back then.
I really loved it then, you know what I mean? So, in order to go through all that, I thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny song. So
I'm glad Craig could get some mentions.
Yeah, for sure. So... I had went into 2010 earlier with Hippies and Cowboys, but I got plenty of 2010s if I need to name some more.
Go ahead.
Well, I got Somewhere in the Middle. I talked about that one.
I got you.
I don't want Cody Jinks everybody to death, but you can go with that. Love Letters and Cigarettes. The whole album's good.
Yeah.
So, if you've got any more for 2010,
no, I don't really have any. Those were the main two. The main two I wanted to mention was This Is Country Music and Family Man.
Yeah, I got you.
So
well, that's cool. If y'all are liking it, if you'll like, share, and subscribe, I think that'd be great. It'll help other people see it in case they want to to check it out also, because we love doing them.
Yeah.
And now that the weather's nicer, we like.
But we want y'all to partake in it. We don't want it to just be us. We want to have suggestions and likes and dislikes and what you want to hear and all that sort of stuff. We want it to be interesting for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, we don't know if the top 10s are as interesting to people as like the movie thing, for example. But it's an opportunity to it's always the anticipation of wondering what the other one's going to come up with, or if I was a listener or a watcher, I'd be like kind of coming up with my own in my head. That's just the way I am, though.
Yeah.
To match them up. But anyway, that's all I have. I hope everyone has a good weekend, and we'll see y'all next Friday.
Take care.